And welcome to Strategy and Solidarity Pod, the podcast, an act of revolutionary defiance and celebration of the things that bring us comfort, solace, and joy. I am Carlos Kareem Wyndham.
And I'm Theresa Logan.
And how are you, my friend? You were slow on the uptake.
I know, I was trying to beat you this time. How's your nervous system today?
How's your nervous system?
Mine is fine. The thing about having a well-resourced and regulated nervous system does not mean that life does not present its challenges and annoyances. It just means that you maintain full control of your frontal lobe as you navigate them. And so there have been a number of annoyances and challenges on the heels of a lovely, lovely holiday break with the family. But my nervous system is good. My physical body is not faring quite as well. I'm having some back pain and some issues, but my nervous system is really good.
I'm sorry you're having some back pain and some issues. That's no fun.
Thank you. I'll work it out. I need to get into some hot yoga or something, stretch it out. I'll be okay. How's your nervous system doing today? How was your holiday break?
Two very different questions. My nervous system today is a bit frayed, but it is from the place of being honest and vulnerable about kind of where we all are right now in terms of the economy, in terms of trying to maintain the illusory concept of holidays and stability and all of that. I also completely lost days because I'm on the high schoolers schedule. So we are recording getting toward late afternoon, which is abnormal. And I missed the hour of Monday moment, the 9 a.m. by about 3 hours, I think. But
nobody else knows or cares. They're not tracking our recording schedule.
Yeah,
I don't need to know all the behind the scenes.
I know what I missed. So that's kind of what's happening with me. Yeah, but overall, widening out the bandwidth a bit, and still finding quite a lot of joy and small celebrations, and and having to let go quite a lot as well, because older teenagers are not the same people, nor do they have the same interest or investment in holidays and holiday traditions as do nor do I.
Just the littles. Yeah.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old still crawled into my bed sometime on Christmas Eve. And then I woke up at 6:30 in the morning, and she was just staring at me. She was like, "Merry Christmas."
Wow.
She was waiting for me to wake up. And I know the days and years are very numbered before she too will be a grouchy preteen.
Yeah. No, enjoy that. Enjoy
teen.
that.
So I'm appreciating there's still a little bit of that little kid joy and excitement in my house. But it does shift very quickly. Very quickly.
No, my
the
youngest
14 and the
niece
16-year-old are not quite as interested.
Yeah.
They were still interested in Christmas, but they don't
now.
have that joy anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's not as fresh, right? As with us, you do a thing a few times and you kind of know what it is, and then that's what it is. It's good to have the time off, though.
A holiday tradition that your child did want to continue, or did you just throw everything out the window this year and boycott Christmas?
No, we didn't boycott. I had opened up possibilities for what do you want to do, what's important to do, what are we letting go of. We talked about and she was certainly here on time to decorate the tree Christmas Eve or the day before. Tree is in the garage where it will stay. Um, the smaller Charlie Brown tree got up, and family photos and the nutcrackers and all the things. Her stocking. So really, it was just like, taking the time to appreciate each other, and also that she's got some big things coming up this year that are much more significant for her. So really, the focus on the holiday was just kind of like, all right, well, this is what this is. And, we both had last night the existential, like, this is what 2020 felt like a little bit. I don't like it,
Hmm.
but can we do something or nothing? And, suggesting things to do would very quickly turn into like, okay, well, we did that. I'm done now. I'm going to bed. And she'd be on her bed for the day doing Roblox and TikToks and the things that the youngs do.
As they do.
Yeah. How about the rest of your holiday? It was good.
Yeah, it's pretty good overall. We did like it wasn't 12 days of Christmas, it was at least like 4, I think, between all the family gatherings. If we start from my solstice party, we probably got to 12 days. We talked
Okay.
about that last week. That was lovely. And then we did Christmas Eve at my mom's with my brother and his partner. And then Christmas Day, they all came over to our house for brunch. And we played some games. And then we realized, oh, we're going to be late over to my god sister's house. So then we all went over there. And then my local extended family was there as well as her local extended family. We did a white elephant, potluck Christmas dinner at my sister's house. And then the next day we went over to my aunt's house and did like our extended Logan family Christmas with all the out of town extended family who also came. And we had seen the same kind of core group of people at each of these each of these parties. We just were each taking turns hosting. And the extended family Christmas, both my aunt and my uncle, who generally host these days, were like, I think you might have more space than we do now. I was like, hey, I'll take over next year. I'm not going to do it this year, but next year I could to maybe take over, pass the mantle on to the next generation. I would be the first of my generation to host an extended family holiday gathering.
Okay.
um, but it was, decent food and more cookies than anyone really wanted to eat, and some
The
board
way you said
games
decent
here and
food
there.
was hilarious to me. Listen.
I made some roasted Brussels sprouts and carrots, and I had from Christmases past. I got this hazelnut oil this year, which I've never had before. Hazelnut
Hmm.
oil, and I had some truffle salt and a little bit of cayenne, and that's all I put on. But they were so good. They
That's all
were
you
so
need.
like like three
That's all
days
you
later,
need.
I pulled out the leftovers and I was like, they were still so good. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
simple, so good. I'm gonna have to make that again. Um, yeah, you cooking for lots of people. It's, my family's white, like there was a lot of good food. It wasn't like a culinary dream necessarily, but there's a lot of good food.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cookies, and we just realized that like over the years, our intake of sweets has really diminished. Like it used to be like all the pies and all the things, and it's like nobody really
Mm.
can stomach that much sugar anymore. Probably because we have access to it all year round. Like back in the
Right.
day when it was like special to get an orange in your stocking because you didn't have oranges all year round. You could eat like 12 pieces of pie. There was no pie most of the rest of the year. But no, this year it's just like, oh yeah, I don't know. I just need a salad. I think my kids came home and they were just eating like carrots, like Bugs Bunny, like just a whole giant, like regular, not even baby carrots, like a whole carrot, just like, what's up, doc? I think even they in their stomachs realized they needed more like fresh produce than baked carbohydrates and sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll
But
tell
I
you
love my
what.
family. We have a good time. I'm very blessed to have a large extended family, and we generally all get along and are just kind of awkward neurodivergent people who like to play board games and card games. And my grandfather was a raging alcoholic, so all of his children kind of swore to not drink. And though there's a little Kahlua and cream at Christmas here and there now, there's almost no drama. We're pretty chill.
Right. Well, that's
I know
nice.
that's not the case for everyone, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Well, 2026 is upon us. If people are listening to this when it comes out, and they are very likely in rest, given whatever they did or did not do last night, I would guess, with or without children, trying to stay up till midnight for whatever godforsaken reason we've decided that's the thing to do. And when I was young, I used to like it.
Oh yeah, it used to be amazing. My sister and her friends celebrate East Coast New Year's on the West Coast.
I love that. I'm doing that.
They watch the live stream from Times Square at 9 p.m. Yes. They do their countdown.
I'm doing that. I am 100% in. I am 100% in. That sounds right. That sounds right. Well, you know,
it is
the year passed.
December 29th when we're recording, but it will probably be January 1st or sometime after by the time folks hear this. So we'll do a little time travel.
Let's do it. Let's do it. What are we traveling through if we're traveling?
Well, I think we're going to do a little bit of year in review, a little bit of talking about our goals for 2026. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to remember. It kind of feels like every year since about 2016 has felt like the most challenging year in recent memory. And then each year continues to feel that way. I guess during the Biden years, it felt slightly less cataclysmic because we didn't have the orange cartoon villain just thinking up new villainous plots and ways to destroy society as we know it every day. But it was still like COVID and all the things. So it's a challenging year. It's a challenging year, as I'm sure were many years that I did not live through, such as the World Wars and the 1918 flu pandemic and. So that's one thing I do to help keep myself centered, is just to kind of scope myself in and out of time and remember that there is some essential nature of human life on Earth that includes surviving lots of compounding crises.
Man.
One way or another. It's a challenging year, and you know, there were some silver linings along the way as well. What were some of your 2025 silver linings?
Silver linings. Well, sure. Let's start there. Why not? You know what? One of the ones that is easiest and maybe most relatable for anybody who might be listening to this is we actually got off our Duffies and launched the podcast.
Hey,
I have,
do you still got your? Where's your sound effects? You don't got your sound effects anymore?
Nah. There's other sound effects in here. Let's see how annoying we'll. What happened? Did it play? They're not playing now even? All right.
To launch our
you heard a drum roll. Did you hear a drum roll?
Yes.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
There we go.
Sound. Oh, you heard it? For real? Okay. I can't hear shit when I'm hitting these. So
I heard
I'll stop
you doing
that because
it
must
all.
be... Okay, I was going to say that must be irritating. Yeah, no, getting the cast actually launched. I've in editing it, it ended up not really sitting through the entirety of the hour after we record it very often, but we had come up in my autoplay, and the conversation from last week was actually interesting enough that I listened to it and gave myself a few reminders along the way. So I think that there's something there that is potentially valuable, and hope that it will continue to reach more people as we've opened the doors. How
Absolutely. It
about
was a
you?
good couple years in the making for us to finally get here. And thank you for
Yeah,
all the work you're putting in on the back end to get it edited and distributed and all those good things. And thank you to everyone who has listened to this podcast this year.
absolutely. Share it with a friend. Tell somebody. Subscribe. All the things. Okay, that's enough of that. How about you? You got a thing?
I got a lot of things, but if we don't stick on strategy and solidarity things, I'll say our
Well,
2025 Strategy and Solidarity Global Summit was pretty amazing.
that
It's one of those
was
things
big. That was huge.
where on occasion I have a tendency to have like a really big vision for something and then I can't actually pull it off in real life. Or like I pull off a version of it that's better than if I hadn't tried to go big. But this one actually blew me away, right? The number of people who showed up to offer sessions, the number of people who showed up to come to sessions. A couple times I looked around the Zoom room in one of those sessions, and we had people from London and Egypt and Sardinia and all over. We
Hmm.
had someone from Colombia. Like it really was global. We really did have people from all over the place, and it was in the middle of such a very challenging and demoralizing year. It was really inspiring and hopeful to connect with um, folks that we already knew, and then a bunch of folks we had not known up until that point. To really just remember how many people are finding small and not so small, but those like daily meaningful ways to show up in their lives and in their communities to create the world that they believe is possible, even despite all the many challenges happening right now. And remember that you don't
Yeah,
have to be a published author, have a million followers to be doing really important work that matters to your community to make a difference.
yeah, yeah. Most of us will not be a published author, nor will most of us gather 1,000 followers, and hopefully by I don't know, not too long from now, that will be a moot point. In terms
A
of
million, not a thousand. I said a million.
1,000, a million, sorry, whatever, whomever,
I
8
think you
million,
got more than a
whatever.
thousand.
You know what I mean? Like, hopefully, that will become less of a point of deciding merit going forward, right?
Mm.
That it really becomes a gain about um, not only can you bring in your name because or in your reputation or what have you, bring people out to hang out and do a thing with you, but is that sustainable? Are you sustainable enough for the community that it's something that makes sense to keep continuing on, and that folks will start localizing again in meaningful ways, right? Like we've seen that happen multiple times over. And it is always when it is then corporatized, sanitized, and nationalized that it may take more or less time depending on what it is we're talking about, but that it eventually is just the meaning is diffuse. It's not even the same thing any longer, right? And I'm thinking of like grunge music. I'm thinking of hip hop. I'm thinking of so many different things that people have invented, created, being a part of that when they are at that macro level, when they are small, micro level rather, when they are small, when they are intimate, that's where the real good stuff is, And like, I'll say this too, like watching the red pill podcasters who are using their podcast to have used their podcast to build their comedy audiences, that system is blowing up. That system is not working any longer because the inconsistency in between their sincere um takes and hot takes and what have you, and the comedy that was so relatable, right? Because they play these relatable schlubs. But the thing is, finding out that they're all just rich Nepo babies with like, and that's why they've been able to just invest in their career for years and years and years, and now feel like, and again, I'm talking about the red pill podcasters. We don't need to name
Who
all
are
of them
red
now.
pill podcasters? They're like the Do
Uh,
Bros,
yeah. The Joe
the
Rogan
MAGA
sphere,
Do Bros.
the
Oh,
whole
okay,
MAGA Rogan sphere, anything
all
that
right.
comes out of that. Essentially, and there's some side and derivative ones that were trying to get their dollars up, based on this idea of being the boys only women hating club, but we're not gay, definitely not. um
How very fifth grade of them.
yeah, and very gay.
It's like,
And they, God bless it. It's imploding. It's not working, right? Their numbers are not doing what they did in terms of reaching millions and millions and millions. Certainly their core demographic is going to be around them to some degree. But that bubble has burst, which allows again for people who are actually invested in both the politics and the craft of comedy, or fans of, having the opportunity to see and invest in what is locally their own, rather than having to try to, like, you know, lose their own identities, right? These same people who say they can't use pronouns, but somehow are referring to Joe Rogan and the followers as we, but you don't know pronouns. We're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Are you? Because I thought you were going to watch it. I didn't think you were going to win anything, but okay. So seeing that and the shift in that has been really, really good too. I think that is born more from an elevation of consciousness and a growing awareness, in particular in their key demographic of young men. I don't know that many of them are looking for something healthier, but I do know that being disillusioned by what there has been will at least create the opportunity for something healthier to find its way into their lives. And so I hope that happens. So that's been pretty good.
so, what's your hope for what the evolution of all that might look like in 2026?
Personally, wider. What do you mean? I mean, it's personal, right? It's personal. Get back to it, right? Supporting what is local, being part of what is happening in your home, neighborhood, community, uh, um, state, right? Including your elections and whatever. But doing all of that means that being part of those celebrations is also very natural, because that is part of the cycle of all of those things. And having relationships with the artists with whom you are sharing space and sharing time, and the audiences with whom one is sharing time and sharing space, those things, while there is certainly a manufactured audience that can be built, right, and has been built. I think of the audience that was bound together watching Marvel Infinity Wars, right? Like everybody in the theaters, jaws dropping, and everybody gasping, and everybody not knowing what to do when the first of those films ended. It's a community, but it's a community of artifice, right? It's a community built on the emotion of, well, this is not what we expected to just come here and be a part of. And it's a national and international presentation, where really doing things like going to the local plays and presentations, going back to see what is happening at your community theater, going back to see what the writers, the thinkers, the comic illustrators, whatever it is that brings you joy in your community, because all of us have people in our communities who are creative and who are creatives, and so seeing what evolves there at the most bohemian level, I'm very excited about. I miss that. I mean, that's what birthed grunge, right? It was we're disenfranchised with what you have done. We're not going to be part of hair metal. We have these other things to say, and so we're doing this now. And of course, that got they didn't mean to get famous. They were just trying to play some
Appropriated, like
music.
everything else. I'm sure
Yeah,
they wanted to
yeah.
get famous. I'm
Well,
sure they
some of
wanted
them
a
did.
record
Some of them did
contract.
not. Yeah, some of them did not, and some of them who got famous were like, "Oh God, no!" And that's the whole
And it
thing
killed them.
about that era, right? Yeah. But yeah, seeing people actually invest in their communities, in themselves, and to be able to be okay without celebrity culture. I I
Mhm.
I really would love that. I would really love that for people to be okay being working, both the creators and audiences, right? These are working artists. This is an audience who knows you by your name. Just like if you go to your local bakery and you happen to know, that Jeffrey is the owner, like you're just knowing people. I look forward to that. I look forward to that. I mean, in investing on the small scale, because it's not that consumerism is about to redirect itself in that mode that does not serve the very wealthy. But for myself personally, I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about that. What's been going on for you in goody goods and culture and things you're looking forward to? If culture is one of them, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I could say, but I think there's a lot we said on a couple previous episodes. If there's new listeners today, we got one titled, I think, "Anti-Social Media," where we talked about the rise and fall of social media
Sure,
and
yeah, get into it.
how
Get
it's
into it.
useful for strategy and solidarity, and how it may not be the most effective strategy depending on your goals. And yeah, there's another one we talked about. All the things bringing us joy last week, and
Hmm.
another one is escaping me now. I wanted to mention it, but I'll come back to it if I remember. Um, for
It's a
things this
podcast. All
past
we have to do is
year, I
say
mean,
words.
there is there was a lot of people trying to figure out how to show up meaningfully for a community, and it's really
Mm.
easy to sit back and criticize how people are not doing enough or not doing it right. I'm certainly guilty of that myself at times, and there were a lot of people out on the streets. Certainly, I believe there were a lot more people protesting Inauguration Day than went anywhere near the actual inauguration. If I remember correctly, it was all indoors. It was like the first inauguration that wasn't even out on the mall in DC,
Phew.
which is wild.
Good God, it's only been a
It's
year.
people
No,
in inflatable
wait,
frog
has it been a year?
costumes. Yeah,
It's
it's
just
been a
been a
year.
year.
It's not even January 20th or
Oh
so.
my God.
One down, three to
Okay.
go. We survived this
Whoa.
one.
Oy, 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 oy.
Yeah. But seeing people, again, easy to criticize and have our analysis about, like, maybe y'all could have done a little more effort to prevent him from stealing the presidency. But to come back to people who show up, people who are willing to go out in the streets, even more so the people who are willing to, like, take direct action. So even dude in Portland in the frog suit who got gas and they put tear gas inside his frog suit or whatever, is still out there, doing the work and finding creative ways to do it. People in Chicago organizing, community response units with the whistles and making sure that they're protecting parents and children at their kids' schools from ICE. School administrators making sure they do not allow ICE to enter their buildings and trying to keep their communities as safe as possible within their power. I think it was Charlotte, North Carolina, driving ICE out of the city within like 2 or 3 days. Like, there really are places where people are figuring out how to do that level of direct community organizing that is not about posturing, is not about hot takes, is not about moral superiority, but is about actual, like, what is effective and pragmatic in the streets towards our shared outcome that isn't just about ego and how many views you get. It's about actually making impact in our communities. And so I am hopeful and inspired by how many people have been willing to go out and really take direct action Also on the bureaucratic side, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, who have kind of rolled over and were very happy to just dump all their DEI programs, especially lots of colleges and universities. But there are those that have not. There's a lot of I feel, though Oregon has its particular history and challenges, I feel fortunate to be in the state of Oregon, where our city government and state government have filed multiple lawsuits to try to legally hold the line and respond to some of the very illegal things that the federal administration is trying to push on us as a nation, and our state in particular. I know that there's local housing authority has taken some heat in trying to hold the line and gone and filed lawsuits instead of turning over information about clients. I think the state also sued to prevent the state from turning over information about SNAP recipients to the federal government. So, like, seeing people who are doing what we've always kind of preached, which is use the power you have where you have it, I do see people doing that. It's not always in the heroic action movie kind of ways. It may not be very visible or public, but it's really meaningful for people to do it where they can. It's not as many people as I would like to see, but there are people, even like corporations, holding the line on not dismantling their DEI program, so the federal government is trying to bully them into doing so. There's still anti-discrimination law that they're trying to twist around to use it to protect white men from the imagined discrimination they believe white men are facing in a world where any women or people of color hold any positions of power at all. And they've not been particularly successful thus far in proving some of those points in court. Now, how long our legal system and the courts continue to have any real authority or be a meaningful barrier between fascist federal overreach, I don't know. But at this point, they're still semi-functional, and some of those things are holding lines. And I don't know if they will or won't, but I sure am hoping that they, the legal dikes continue to hold. Maybe
That'd
at
be
least
nice,
through
wouldn't
one
it?
more year. It would. That's where
That'd be
my
nice.
my hope is. Yeah, so those are, this is not the timeline I voted for. It's not the timeline I wanted to be living in. And while we're here, I'm going to appreciate and celebrate everyone that I see trying to take meaningful action to hold the line, to mitigate harm, and to help continue believing that there is a different way of doing society together that's possible.
Nice. Well, let's do this. Let's take a little break, and maybe when we come back, we'll be coming back to a better timeline. And
Seems unlikely, but sure.
Well,
Keep hope
maybe,
alive.
maybe. Who knows? All right. And welcome back. We are today talking about our year-end review and talking about things that were representative of strategy and solidarity, things to which we are looking forward, and things of which we are trying to let go as we close out the year. And you are likely hearing this on the first of the year if you're hearing it when it dropped, or later. And maybe it'll be an inspiration for you too. Who knows? Who knows? That's the goal. I just kept saying words. I don't know what was happening right there. Just more words kept pouring out.
What are your goals or hopes or dreams for 2026, realistic or otherwise?
Oh boy. Realistic or otherwise. Realistic or otherwise. My goals. Well, hell, I've been dealing with limiting myself through realism for 6 years. And that's enough of that. So I will go ahead and say I would love for the podcast to become one of the top DEI and strategy and solidarity podcasts in the country. I don't know what that means, but sure, that sounds great. And
Not true.
would love to find a way to return to some economic stability. And yeah, I think those are two of the big uns. Yeah, yeah, and to invest right in the ways that of which we were speaking. Right, I'd love to
In the stock market?
hold myself to some account to invest in community, to show up at things that to give myself enough space to be able to show up at things that I am not necessarily working. That is a rarity for me. Though I really do enjoy being overwhelmed by live music and audience and lectures and laugh and comedy. Like I love being a part of that as well. I did love being a part of that as well. It has been I'm of an age now and have been doing it for so long that being in the audience is sometimes not as much fun for me, in that I'm in a small chair and not watching it from the wings of the theater or from backstage where it's much more comfortable. But that's not always the place you're in, and especially if you're not part of it and officially. And to make myself a part of it as a member who is contributing my energy and the spiritu for the room and being a part of that. I look forward to that. I look forward to that this year. How about you? You got some things?
I mean, there's the baseline of like continue to keep my family housed and fed. It's
Sure.
just the basic. I
Took
would
that one for
love
granted.
to, yeah, I would love to continue to have more in-person meetups with our strategy and solidarity community locally and
Mm,
also
mm.
internationally. International travel is, I don't know, we'll see. I would love for international travel to still be a possibility and to reconnect with some of our folks in London and Lisbon in particular, where we have some core kind of strategy and solidarity satellite groups.
Right.
um, we've only been through London on a couple layovers and would love to finally make it there and connect with folks and have some time to do a little more community building instead of just passing through and saying hi.
Yeah.
Um, and the big dream, I mean, I really want to be in conversation with folks about what alternative systems could look like. And I mean, like, again, as I said, have a tendency to bite off things or have big visions that are bigger than what I can actually implement. So I'm saying this with full awareness that's what this is. But like, if we were going to figure out how to have a new constitutional convention, um, whether that was for a sub segment of a continent that was forming a new nation, or if it was for the entirety of what has been known as the United States of America, what would a legal system that was really about mutually beneficial interdependence, right relationship with other human beings and with the earth, like what would those systems look like? I think it'd be something very different than what our legal foundations are in this country right now. And I want to be having those conversations about what would that legal system look like? What would those group agreements? Because I think 2025 showed us, despite all the mythology and propaganda, those of us, at least in this country, and I think around the world, have been fed about the might and rightness of American democracy. We've seen in 2025 just how fragile that system really is. The so-called checks and balances and all the mythological parts of it that we are taught to believe in have not have not stemmed the rise of fascism as so many people believe that they would. Let alone the fact that we just got to be honest and clear about they are making America great again according to the vision of the founding fathers, in which only white male property owners had rights, and everyone else was meant to serve them with more or less codependency or coercion. And so I don't know that there's any healing of those rotten foundations. And so thinking about what does it look like to create something new. And if that starts with land back and tribal sovereignty, I'm willing to take a risk on that one. I don't know if we have enough infrastructure, enough people for that to be a viable path forward, but I'd certainly be willing to give it a shot. I
Might
was
be a little
listening to
hard pressed if
something.
Gavin Newsom's going to be the one dealing with the West Coast. But yeah, we'll find somebody else. What were you going to say?
I'm sure there's other people here. I was listening to, and even if you're not into astrology, it's really worth a listen, though it is a long listen. You got to listen to it like it's an audiobook or something. The astrology podcast did like a 4 or 5 hour episode looking at,
Oh my God.
I believe it was Uranus and Mars conjunctions in Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
And every time that happened was the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War II, and 2026. And so, like, the odds that there's some kind of global armed conflict, there's already are those happening, but that there's some, like, something on the scale of a world war coming, seems very, very possible in 2026, unfortunately. But even if you're not into astrology, it's worth listening to just for the history that they go through, to remember all of the history that our current lives of challenge and ease are built upon. But I learned something there I had not fully understood before, which was that the Boston Tea Party was largely in response to taxes that were imposed because the settlers kept breaking their treaties with the indigenous nations that the British were actually trying to uphold, and thereby required more armed British forces to protect the settlers who kept appropriating indigenous land and breaking treaties. And they're like, we don't want to pay taxes for you to protect us. We just want to go colonize. And I think I kind of sort of knew that, but I had not understood it in quite that way before. And it was just like, how many times? Like, I don't think the British were ever the good guys, but they were actually trying to uphold treaties in multiple times in U.S. history when American settler colonizers were the ones repeatedly going against the British throne to break those treaties. And then it's just like, well, it's just, I don't think there's any way to salvage this. And we've been fed so much propaganda and so much mythology about the righteous, perfection of American democracy. And it's just like, no, I think it's garbage. We could probably start over and do better. We just stole things from indigenous federations and appropriated things poorly to serve the interests of white male landholder colonizers. I think we could do better if we start over. We can just let this go. Yeah. Try something new. So that's my hope for 2026. I don't know how it would destabilize the globe for the United States to fall apart. I don't know that could be accomplished without armed civil conflict. I'd prefer not to have either of those things happen, but I don't know. We can't keep doing this.
But that's terrible. Your hope? Okay. All right. Oh, no,
my hope is to find people who actually want to have serious conversations with me about what
there
that could
you
look
go.
like.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Or for me to find the people who are already having those conversations so that we can at least be generating collective thought around alternatives instead of fascism or neoliberal status quo.
Yeah.
I would like some different options available. I would like to know what else is on the menu or not on the menu.
Yeah.
So we could be doing something different. We've tried this long enough. It's time to move on. How about you? Anything else for 2026?
Oh boy. 2020, 2026. What else is a goal? I mean, there are projects in which I'm going to be investing, creative endeavors. Um, I'm pretty comfortable speaking to that there is a writing project that I am a part of. I don't think I can yet say much more about that, but I am looking forward to kind of digging into that. I again trying to find, not find, trying to define and accept, then define a balance um in the ability to be okay, to be a working facilitator, a working podcaster, a working comedian, and provided that I can provide a relatively comfortable life for myself and my child through that is more than enough. That is glorious. Um, Anything else that comes, along with that in terms of, having a broad reaching impact for whatever reasons may inspire people in their own communities or in their own lives to take action. Um, I certainly accept that, but primarily to be able to cultivate a life, continuing to do um, those things to which I think I am most called, right? And to be able to be present, you know? And one of the things that I was thinking about earlier is the ability to and willingness to embrace sincerity, um, as well as everything else. Like I'm always good for popping off a joke. I think that the world is hilarious and I find it just absolutely insane. And I have heard from folk that with equal measure, those times that I am able to be most grounded in and most vulnerable, right? In what is happening, which is very different than what is talked about by comedians who are not being vulnerable, right? The over admitting to things or self-deprecating or all of that. That is a way to sort of get ahead of uh your vices and then be able to say, well, I told you. And that is not vulnerability. That is weaponizing uh vulnerability, because vulnerability is being able to look at those flaws, the shortcomings and the foibles, and not just embrace them as in, well, don't ask me to change anything about this because that's then you don't see me, but to be able to embrace them as in, these are events from which I can learn and can grow, and I'm allowed to change and evolve. um
Mm-hmm.
that is something that just, in particular, in those areas for which I have in which I have perhaps the most ease expressing myself, those are the ideas that I'm able to reach people with, that I don't that I'm able to reach without much effort, right? Like the things that I talk about either with you here, with clients on stage, um it's not the same thing that everybody else is talking about, because it's about how do I get over my idea of centering the individual, such that what is happening is really about elevating the experience and reality for everyone there, where it used to be when I was younger about just kicking a hole in reality and pointing out to people how insane reality is, right? It's very different than um tapping into those things which are most frightening and most exhilarating and most scary, but doing that in a way that is sincere and yeah, not just a matter of self promotion or looking for the fastest laugh or looking for the most revolutionary pitch, but being able to just talk honestly, to your point earlier, right? About if this is where we are and where we want to be is in a place of self determination, right? How do we create that? How do we create a collective or a society that allows for people individually to work in concert, right? And to move toward places of self-determination that at this point um are not celebrated, and in fact are suppressed and are told that it is a deficit to be different. What is it if we actually embrace our diversity and the multitudes of what humanity is, and how much further could our children get toward creating a, for want of a better word, heaven on earth, right? If we can create hell, we can certainly create heaven. And that for me is not a matter of like, okay, so now you don't have to work anymore and it's where everything's just a fantasy. But to that thing, like, how do we create interdependence where it is enough of people seeing each other and themselves that being a part of that is not overwhelming or seen as a burden, right? Um, yeah, I think that I'd like to be able to start moving toward that place, um,
So you
and the
bring in
historical realities.
sincerity in 2026.
I mean, as much as I have it, this is what my voice sounds like. So I'm trying. I mean the things I say, and even when I hear tonally or by the metaphor through which I try to help it be understood, there is humor to it, or it is incongruous in that way, that the point of what I'm saying is still as sincere, right? Because I am aware of what I sound like. I am aware of what I look like. I'm not going to pretend that somehow people are just going to go, oh, you're sincere now. Like, but I do think that if I am sincere, and if I'm sincere with myself in it, that it can translate, and that through that, without being directive, that it could serve as a possibility model. It certainly, as I was saying earlier, right? Like stumbling across our podcast and listening to the things that we're saying and that I'm saying and being like, oh wow, okay, that's pretty good. We're having conversations, right? Like it's hard to slow it down in the same way that you do when you're observing conversations or listening to conversations, and to hear it back and to know that there is sincerity in what we're doing, and that we are reaching for authenticity and for living in concert is rather than in discord is yeah, I'd love to foster that going forward into the new year, as sincere as that is. I don't know. How about
I
you?
mean,
You want to develop some
you
of that
are
insincerity?
no, it's not my
Okay.
it's not my
It's not your
superpower.
jam? Should be.
I mean, you are very funny. There's absolutely times where humor is a brilliant strategy for achieving certain things. And there's also times where humor that's, lightly coded sarcasm and cynicism might be more of a defense mechanism than a strategy for building solidarity or and I have observed that you are perhaps the most impactful person I know when you really are grounded in sincerity and care for everyone involved, that you really have an ability to see people and being who you are and being able to reflect that back to someone and also position them within the systems that isn't about shame or guilt for what you've individually done wrong, but understanding who you are and how you're positioned in the system and what that means as far as where you can move and what you can accomplish. I think you are perhaps the most effective person I know when you move that way. And it's hard to be there all the time because it does take a lot of groundedness, very well resourced nervous system, and we all have the energy or patience for that every day. Right? Given all the things going on, the bank account balances and all the things right now, um, but I think it is. As the pendulum swings, I think there was a need for many people, especially folks who've not had their opinions or views held or honored or considered, to be a little bit petty and a little bit loud and take up more space and not be considerate about other people's
Yeah.
feelings and expressing their pain. And as we're evolving out of 2025 into 2026, I think figuring out what it takes to really start to build fabric of community that isn't just affinity along shared lines of identity or shared opinions or experiences, but really is figuring out how to build the fabric of community and connection, even along lines of difference and places of disagreement, is what's going to make or break our ability to move through, um, to successfully resist and not end up living in a fascist state or build
Fascist or
something
state?
more fascist, a more fascist state,
N-
a more
Not
perfectly
in the.
fascist state.
Let's not be in the fascistist state.
Right. Like, if we're really going to be able to do something or not depends on our ability to build relationship with people who we do not agree with 100% on things. And
Oh
there's
yeah, yeah,
you know entitlement and perfectionism in so many spaces are kind of the biggest Achilles heel to so much organizing work.
yeah.
So that's,
Well, the
one of
entitlement
my
and the
hopes for
idea that people
2026
have to
as well.
do the idea that people have to do things a right way or a wrong way, and that I'm
My
somehow the
way or the
arbiter.
highway.
Yeah,
I
like what the
have
fuck
all
do I
the
know?
I know all the right
Did you
answers for
did you touch
everything.
other people? So did you make other people laugh? Great. I guess you know how to do it. Who am I? I don't know. I know how to reach the people who I can reach. That's who I'm talking to. I don't know. I'm working with the people who I can work with. I can't.
Hmm.
You know, I can only be
And
me. I can't be them.
none of us are going to be perfect, right? That ability to like
Never.
recognize harm and navigate harm and repair harm. And
And sometimes you can't. And sometimes you're just going to create harm. And you
go
guess what? That sucks. And guess
hold
what?
boundaries,
You got to deal with it. You
move
got
on.
to deal
Yeah.
with that. That's your thing. And you know, it took me a long time to learn that, like, trying to ask for somebody to accept my apology or ask for somebody, you tell me what I can do to make it better. Like, okay, yeah, and no, absolutely not. Like, if we're going to get to a place of seeing each other it does mean being able to own our mistakes and our foibles and to know that we're going to make them because that is what being a people is. And that it also means that we've got to be able to forgive because that's what being a people is. It does not mean accepting, right? The boundary is still the boundary, but like being able to forgive somebody who is able to recognize where the boundary may have been crossed, and more importantly, somebody who is able to then change behavior and alter behavior at that point, then there certainly is room for talking about what forgiveness looks like and what restoration looks like. But until that, I think one of the things that we've encouraged folks to look at and that I think will be important to hold on to this year is remembering that without that changed behavior, there may not be a relationship for restoration, right? It may be the ideas that you held about what a relationship was, which may or may not be the reality, right? So being able to face our realities such that we can then confront them again, again comes from a place of sincerity more times than
Mhm.
not. And
And
go ahead.
being okay with people not liking you or being the villain in someone else's story. People are unhealed, you know? There's some people,
Yeah.
what they want to make amends is not a realistic thing you're ever gonna do. It may not be a
No.
reasonable thing to ask or expect, but some people have really unrealistic, sometimes unreasonable expectations for what the people in their lives should or shouldn't do, and we have to figure out how to navigate those, especially those of us who struggle with people pleasing and codependency of like, "Yeah, that person don't like me." And that's really more an issue about them than it is about me. There's not I if it's not a thing for me to repair, then I'm gonna keep it moving. You know, if it's something I gotta address, then I address it, but I don't need everyone out there to like me,
I
to
have
validate
tried
my
so hard
existence.
to get people to like me in different ways, and it was actually somebody who with whom we both worked once that was quite determined to not like me. That and I had to see them every day, and it was just like, okay, well, all right, there you go. Feels a little like high school. That's weird, but okay. And you know what? I don't like
I
everybody.
mean,
Nobody like
no.
everybody.
Mm-mm, no, everybody's annoying in their own special way. That's what I tell my children, including
Yeah,
them. I love them more than anyone in the world, and they're still very annoying sometimes. And so I just try to
yeah,
normalize that everyone is annoying in their own special way. So I should assume
yep,
that most people are going to annoy me at some point. For any of the
yeah.
astrology nerds out there, I do have Mars in my first house. But and um, the goal is not do we like each other. The goal is are we effective in building a community in which all of our needs are met or not. And that does not mean I'm going to get my way 100% of the time. And so figuring out how to navigate through those things and be okay. Sometimes people, in all fairness, people like us quite a lot. Like we have a lot of people who really love us and really appreciate the work we do and tell us that we have changed their lives. And that's an incredible honor and blessing to be able to have that impact in the world. And there's some people who really do not like me. And most of the time, it's activating some kind of trauma for them. Like just my whiteness and me being a white woman speaking in front of people about race is super activating to certain people. And
Hmm.
that is their racialized trauma. And I cannot fix that. There's nothing I'm going to do one way or the other that's going to fix their racialized trauma. It's also not my job to heal their racialized trauma for them. I can't fix whatever the other white women have done. I can try to navigate in ways that are respectful and not create more harm and recognize there's places where I just need to step back and not be the one speaking or not be the one in the room depending on the situation or what's going on, but I can see that clearly, like that's their racialized trauma and their issues coming up that really aren't about me, and so it's just me figuring out how to navigate the situation. Like I don't need to be in every space. I don't need to always be the one speaking. Now, if I'm hired to be in the room and be the one speaking, then there's a different, different situation that I need, different conversations that need to be had, or we
Right.
might need to bring someone else in instead of me, depending on the circumstances. But I have to be able to first understand that that's not actually about me, and it's not about me changing them or them changing me. It's just recognizing there's an energetic dimension here that either we're going to have to do some real work to address if need be, or it's just not the place where I'm going to be able to be impactful. And I need to go find somewhere where I'm going to be able to be more useful to whatever's happening.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to push through it or say what's wrong with them or prove that I, that I deserve to be here too. It's like, it takes so much to work through that though. If we are carrying that codependency, if we are carrying so many of those patterns and habits that so many of us learned about needing to either gain external validation or please other people to validate our existence, to validate our right to be here and take up space.
Yeah. It takes a long time. It takes a long time to really be able to get to a place of self-acceptance that can allow you to get to a place of loving yourself enough to hold those boundaries in meaningful ways, right? In the same way that you would for your children or somebody that you cared for, to do that work for yourself. It's an investment. And
it's not, and it's not even just holding boundaries. Like, it's recognizing that this is not an attack on my soul, right? There are times where it feels like you might die, right? It feels like you might be exiled from life, or no one will ever love you again, or so, like so many of us have, like whether it's the like official diagnosable rejection sensitivity disorder, or it's just some general, rejection sensitivity. For a lot of us, it really can feel like a life or death thing until we do some of the work to unpack where that usually trauma came from and how to heal that for ourselves, as to your point, often through figuring out how to provide the kind of what's it called, unconditional love that we deserved as children, and most of us didn't actually get. We got a lot of very conditional love as children from people who said it was unconditional, but it came with a lot of conditions about what was right or wrong, or what we were supposed to be or not supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I could go on about that all day. We'll save that for another time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was really brilliant. I think that was a great closer. No better way to do it than that. Hoping that folks who are listening will be able to exercise some unconditional love for themselves, which means, not that you never have to change, not that you're not trying to, just that, hey, what you've lived is what you've lived. And we can take it someplace from there.
Unconditional love and lots more strategy and solidarity in 2026.
Absolutely. Don't really have any events to plug that I can think of off the top, because the ones that are on the Strategy and Solidarity app in the app are going to pass by then, but they will be available for you.
But hear what you're missing, so you can come join us at strategyandSolidarity.org. You will have missed by the time you hear this, if you're not in the app, our 2025 community celebration, where we're all going to get live on a Zoom call and talk about all the things we do have to celebrate, that we did overcome, that we did survive, that we did accomplish in 2025 despite all the challenges, because we have to celebrate our victories along the way, large and small, so we can keep going and believe that it's possible. So you probably missed it if you're listening to this on the podcast apps, but you don't have to miss the next one if you come join us at strategyandSolidarity.org. And we've got a couple very exciting things coming up in the new year, but you got to tune in to see.
It's going to be a good time. Thank you to Amani Will for the use of the dope-ass song, Love of the Earth. You will be hearing that in the break. I finally figured it out. Thank you. This is a Strategy and Solidarity Pod, the podcast. This is produced and provided by all of the members of Strategy and Solidarity.org. You can join them there. Become a member, become a supporter for all the cool stuff that we have inside. Thank you for listening. Hope you will find some comfort or joy in this world until we see you the next time. And remember that doing so is in and of itself an act of defiance and love.
Take good care of yourselves out there.